At the end of my last video, I said that I wanted to take a break from talking about rhythm games to focus on some horror for Halloween. I'm working on that, but GITADORA has been on my mind a lot lately, and I recently found out that I could play the modern PC iteration, so that's what I want to talk about today. Specifically, I want to talk about the Guitar Freaks half of GITADORA, because I don't have a drum kit for Drum Mania. Watashi wa Amerikajin desu, so I'm not exactly the most experienced Guitar Freaks player, but I'll try my best to not look like an idiot. I've already spoken a language that I'm bad at, so I may have already failed at that. Conaste GITADORA, released in 2020, is a guitar and drum-based rhythm game from Konami and Bemani. I've already taken a look at the Guitar Freaks series history in short form, and a link to that video will be in the description. Today, I want to focus entirely on this iteration. If you've ever played a rhythm game before, then you should know fundamentally how this works. Notes pass by the hit window, and you play them. Sore wa saido no game desu. I know all rhythm games try to emphasize precision, but GITADORA takes the idea and really hammers the nail. Look at the size of those notes, they're tiny. If you saw my other Guitar Freaks video, then you've probably already noticed one major difference in the gameplay. We've gone from 3 fret buttons to a full set of 5. Call me crazy, but part of me feels like this actually makes the game easier to play and look at. Yori kaiteki desu. I'm not even sure why, it just feels a lot better. This change isn't a new addition to this game. Actually, Guitar Freaks V4 was the first iteration to use a 5-button controller, but Konami stopped releasing home console ports of the series just one game prior. So this is not only the first home release to use a 5-button controller, but also the first home release since 2007. 13 whole years went by without GITADORA ever getting a home release, which is honestly crazy when you realize that a new iteration has been released annually since 1999. Donauriude. Do the arcades still make a lot of money? Were you trying to force players to be social? Kore wa nogashita kikai desu. Or at least it was, until 2020. The first thing that I want to talk about is the process that I went through just to play this game. I've mentioned before that I'm Japanese illiterate. Watashi wa manande iamasu. But I'm a long way from being able to read and write. That means I had to rely on the auto-translate to navigate through the e-amusement website. When I finally found GITADORA and figured out how to download and play it, I was honestly surprised to see that a few songs were just free, and there was no limit to how much I could play them. Being able to try the game before I made any purchasing decisions was nice. It felt consumer friendly. Sore wa yoi business desu. Don't worry though, I'm not only going to show footage of the same few trial songs. I bought a 1-month pass to play the full game because I enjoyed my time with the trial enough to justify that. The actual price of the subscription is 1,680 yen, or $11.23 at the time of making this video. I bought 2,000 paselli, which rounds up to about $15. I'll have some paselli left over, but that's fine, I'll use it for something eventually. Niku no shu desu. Gameplay wa tanoshii desu. If I haven't made it obvious, I'm a big fan of guitar-based rhythm games. The music is usually the biggest part. These days, I think the charm of a guitar controller is unmatched. Modern players spend so much time playing games with keyboards and gamepads that a lot of the other possibilities go forgotten about unless you're a fighting game player with a hitbox or something. Variety is the spice of life, the tonkatsu to our ramen. Without it, all you've got is boring noodles. That's why I enjoy this game so much. It feels like playing through a Guitar Hero or Rock Band game for the first time. I have to learn an entirely different set of skills for something that feels and looks so familiar. Despite having 5 frets and long notes, there are still no hammer-ons, so you can't hold multiple buttons when hitting single notes. The amount of precision required for this game in comparison is tremendous. A lot of the charts take advantage of strum-focused gameplay, and that means a lot of creative chord patterns for harder segments. Just hitting a note isn't good enough either. You can't just keep combos going with notes that you barely touch. To score big, you need to put attention into timing perfect hits. Nintai to finesse. Just hammering away at it with the controller hoping for the best isn't the right way to go about it. Like with other guitar games, or even with musical instruments, you have to practice to get better. If you're skilled enough to sight read the charts, that's cool, but everybody has to start somewhere. If you're a novice, don't try too hard, just be a novice. Focus on learning how to play the charts first. Then, when you've got a good understanding of a chart, throw in some wailing to challenge your personal best, or increase the difficulty. For my fellow Americans, wailing is like star power, sort of. Instead of building up a meter to get a score boost over time, you have to tilt the guitar along with these little icons, and doing that will trigger an immediate quick score boost. It's frequent enough to make a noticeable difference, but not essential to just successfully finishing a chart. Since I'm playing with a Guitar Hero controller, I can only wail in one direction, but that's not a huge loss. Usually down wailing is always on the last note or something, so I can still hit the majority of them. A viewer left me a comment on my Guitar Freaks video telling me about the premium controller for this game, and honestly, it looks very tempting. They use mechanical frets, and it looks hella comfortable. The biggest problem with that for me is the price. Without a whammy bar, I can't really use that Konami premium controller for other games, so I don't think I could justify spending the $300 on it. The same thing applies to the GITADORA range of guitar controllers. I would rather just modify one of my Guitar Hero controllers to have mechanical frets if I wanted a more comfortable experience. Ongaku wa subarashi desu. I couldn't find a number of songs exactly, and I didn't want to count them one by one, but the website says there are over 200 songs, and I don't have any of the extra song packs, so I'll make a rough guess and say that I can play about half of them, maybe more. The majority of them are 5-button charts from a wide variety of artists and genres. There are a lot of Bemani originals throughout as well, which is great. A sizable chunk of them are classic 3-button charts, and I even recognize a few of them. Some of the classic charts are just brutal, so it's a good extra challenge. There's good variation between it all, which means a much lower chance of inflicting boredom. At the end of everything, I don't want to give this game a rating, I just want to appreciate it for what it is. Unlike the older games, I think Konami's missing out on a large market here. Back in 2007, it might have been much harder to market a game like this without the tremendous scope of the internet, but this is the 20s, and there's a massive potential player base that would likely throw money at a game like this. Even just making it more accessible, like allowing United States region access, would go a long way toward greater success. Speaking of that, why can United States accounts download the trial version but not purchase the full game? I mean, if you didn't want us to play it, then it wouldn't be available at all, so is there some kind of legal limitation or something? I just don't get it. Regardless, I think this game is great. It's refreshing. It was worth the time spent translating the billing page. I'll probably fill up more of my future free time trying to work my way up to master level charts. I managed to do a few, but they're still kinda insane. Until next time, arigato. Soshite yoi ichinichi wa.